Hello. Today is episode 50 of the Lorethrough, and we are finally going to do the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. Super exciting. Last time we got this key, the Academy Glintstone key, a key that will allow us to, key to the seals binding both gates to the Academy of Rhea Lucaria activates warp magic bound within the seals. And there's one over here at the southern edge. And then there's one over here at the northeastern edge of the highway that borders Rhea Lucaria proper. So we will go up to it, and before we could examine the seal, but now when we examine it, we step on through. Very convenient. So it seems that Rhea Lucaria, due to some cataclysmic event, likely the Shattering, hopefully we'll find out more, isolated itself. And now, somehow entering in the gate down here, moved us all the way up the road to this central area here. And we will grab the Grace so we don't have to use those warps again. And we can actually take both of those sigils if we so choose to either edge. So we could actually, if you really wanted to, running into Liurnia for the very first time, you could run behind the dragon, grab the key, go straight to the Academy gate, port through again, and you're already up here. Which may be faster in some situations if you're trying to get something in that part of the map. But we're going to run past it really fast for kicks and giggles. And over here is a red sign on the ground. And be summoned to assist Yura, Hunter of Bloody Fingers. It's kind of funny because we are a Bloody Finger now. But the game lets you do a lot. It lets you do as much content as you will, please, just about. There's only a couple, maybe a few places where you can't do that. But all the way out here is another golden seed. How many am I at? 1. Wow. That's not enough for anything at this point in the game. I think I still need like 4 for a new flask upgrade, so it's gonna be a bit. That's okay. So we're gonna help out Yura, because that sounds like a good thing to do. Yura is our buddy. He's not that useful against dragons, but he seems pretty okay against invaders. At least in diverting their attention. And sure enough, we are going to defeat Bloody Finger Ravenmount Assassin in his own world, while we are both the invaders double teaming him. We dispatched him pretty quickly, and I had an excuse to use Wild Strikes. This thing is silly. Is it that good in PvP? No, not really. Unless you're trying to inflict a status, I suppose it can have its uses. It's situational. I'm going to say it's situational. It's not the worst. And don't you know, Yura is here, and we get Raptor of the Mists. And
Wretched worms, leave me be.
That was loud. Yura seems to be having a rough time. To be fair, he's an old man, and I think this is supposed to be illustrated to us that he's not terribly strong, right? He's principled and practiced and disciplined, but it seems he's getting old. In a sense. I'm not sure if age really affects people in the lands between, but he seems to be losing his grip if he's as great as he lets on. At least that's the impression I'm getting. This is a smidge of my own headcanon, but he doesn't do too well against the dragon. He's okay against Nereus, but Nereus is not a very strong invader. And here against the Ravenmount Assassin, he seems to be doing worse. That it seems that every fight every new fight is tougher than the last for him. It seems that he is kind of doomed to be on the outskirts, that he is not one with a ton of potential, but he's still principled and trying to do the right thing, so let's talk with him.
Oh, it's you. Thanks for your help there. That bloody finger was a thorn in my side. And now I'm finally rid of him. Here's a token of thanks. Please, take it. I may not have much time. I'm dying to see you. Eleonora. Violet Bloodyfinger. Yes, I've been tracking Eleonora for quite some time. She is the deadliest of all Bloodyfingers. She's felled many an old hand already, but in spite of her cessblood zealotry, Eleonora is a proud knight. If she comes for you, do not think twice. You must flee. There is no shame in self-preservation. Be on your way. Perhaps we will meet again, if fate permits. Be on your way.
Okay.
Perhaps we will...
That's all he has to say to us. But he is hunting Eleonora, the Violet Bloodyfinger. So, kind of interesting. And he's telling us that if we run into her, we definitely need to turn and run. Right? And if he's having so much trouble against an unnamed Ravenmount assassin, things don't bode well for him. It's a bad turn. It seems that he's the same power level as when he fought Nereus, as he fought the dragon with us. And he's not getting better. And he's given us a single level 5 smithing stone, right? Yeah. Which is nice of him. It's useful, but it's a drop in the bucket, right? It's not too much on its own by any extent of the imagination. So it worries me that he's getting in over his head. Why was he going to use that smithing stone to make his own weapon better? Does he even have access to the round table hold? It seems that access to a smith is rather tough to get. You need to have access to the round table hold to upgrade your weapons, and not every tarnish gets access to the round table hold, it seems. Because we don't see every tarnish cycle through there. And then the anvil in the Church of Ella only allows people to get their weapon up to +3, which is not too high in the scope of things. The scope being up to +25 with at least standard weapons. And then E.G., Warsmith E.G. is a possibility for Tarnish stuck in the lands between, but he's beyond an illusory wall. There. And so it leads me to suspect that the vast majority of Tarnished, if we're going to adhere to the rules of the game, it seems like they don't have access or reason to upgrade their weapons. And to be fair, when we get a lot of weapons in the world, they're not upgraded usually. And not only are they not upgraded, but they don't have infusions when we get them. They don't have Ashes of War already applied to them. That seems like a rarity. So we are monumentally blessed as a Tarnished, and we have the capacity to snowball, unlike most other Tarnished. For one, we can still see the Guidance of Grace, meaning we can die repeatedly, while others do not have such a boon.
Well,
Let's talk with this merchant.
there's been an age since I've seen a customer. How can I help here at the end of the earth?
He says the end of the earth, but it's the middle of Liurnia, so I don't know what he's on about. But let's buy some stuff. So he sells these festering bloody fingers. I meant to talk about this a little bit last time, but it looks like it's been ripped. Gross. But the permanent one we got does not look like that. He sells the Fanged Imp Ashes. These spirits are well suited to causing disturbance, moving nimbly like pests, and hurling magic pots. It's funny because we don't know what like pests. That could be in a general sense, but there's an enemy later on that's also referred to as a pest, and it's kind of funny how it uses the same word. The two imps seem fond of each other's company. That's cute. Don't mind me while I take a sip of my water here. Talking for an extended period of time. I'm a little out of practice. But we will buy that, and it seems cute that they want each other's company, or they're fond of it. We have access to 3 stone sword keys, though we do not need them. We will remember where they are. Always need more Lost Ashes of War. I like having multiple of the same kind. I like having a whole inventory spread, which is tough. It's tough to do in a playthrough, normally, without those bell bearings that let you buy smithing stones. Usually you'll have like 2 or 3 weapons, kind of, and if you're keeping them even, that's even harder than just picking one weapon and sticking with it. Fervor's Cookbook. It lets us make sporific grease, which is the sleep grease. The picture even has the Trina flower on it. Or is that the Mikola lily? I think it's the Trina flower. We'll take a look. We get to make sleep bone arrows and sleep bone bolts. He also sells sleep arrows, the St. Trina variety. Do we have any of these? We have 10. We'll buy them. Why not? Arrow carved to resemble a withered water lily afflicts targets with a powerful sleep effect. And it seems that the water lily part is the fletching, I believe that's called, the feather or whatever. Meteor bolts he sells infinite of. And yeah, you know what? We will grab 99 of these bad boys. We got some money. Alright, now we have the warrior set. So one of the starting classes is available. And this is the one that was talking about the blue of the fabric symbolizes brisk waters, fluid and flowing as the sword in the hand of its wearer. And sure enough, if you wield 2 scimitars, the attack pattern is very flowy. So we will grab that whole set, because Preceptor's Secret, Revenants, and Frenzied Flame Village. We will grab those and take a look at all of them right now before I forget. I like Training Lilies, give me those. Alright.
Have a safe.
So we bought out most of his stock. He's probably very pleased to see us. Okay, where are those notes? Let's sort by acquisition. Preceptor's Secret. Note sold by a nomadic merchant imparting knowledge in brief. Preceptor Saluvis is hiding a dirty secret in a cellar among the ruins not too far from the Sisters 3. The vile graven witch seems to be a frequent visitor to that place. And sure enough, when we visited the basement in the back of the Caria Manor, we saw a basement full of what looked like puppets. There was a sign indicating it was Saluvis's area, specifically, and there was a it looked like an inert duplicate of the Graven Witch. But to be fair, we've seen 3 of her. One in this cellar, one in the Waypoint Ruins all the way in Limgrave, that one actually talks to us, and another one in the Witchbane Ruins that talks, but not really to us. Okay, let's take a look at those other items. Note sold by a nomadic merchant, imparting knowledge in brief. The crawling royal revenants and their followers are all cursed. Healing powers will harm rather than mend. I'll try to show that off at some point in the game. I just don't have any healing spells that I can wield just yet, and I am probably going to wait until level 130 something or 150, somewhere around that ballpark, and then I'll just massively overlevel just to show off everything. Because if I were to overlevel now to wield everything I would like to show you, dear viewer, I think I would need to be like level 102, which that's a lot of flat defense. A lot of levels, and they'd be spread poorly. It'd be an awful build, but I would be able to show off more stuff. I'm tempted to, but I think I will hold off for a little bit. Maybe Eltis Plateau, maybe when I hit like level 100 or something, I don't know. I'll figure it out. We will show off stuff, though. We will show off stuff. We will very much show off stuff if I can help it. And we have one more note. Wow, I'm taking so long at the beginning of the academy. Note sold by a nomadic merchant, imparting knowledge in brief. I need to not read that every time. South of the Grand Lift of Dectus lies the Frenzied Flame Village, inhabited by the sick. Stay well away. Stay well away. And that is where we saw Vike. And if we look up above, we see a man clinging to part of the gate. He's on the inside. Did he climb in here? Maybe. He's got a claw. It seems like an odd place to climb, unless he's trying to get out for some reason. Take a look at him. But it is another Bloodhound Knight, so kind of like Darrowell that we fought with Blythe, and like the boss that we saw in the Lakeside Crystal Cave. He was the boss of that area, so. Wow. Big damage. I mean, DPS is kind of how this game works. And I mean that in the sense that it seems wiser to be doing damage fast than it means to do heavy damage in singular slow hits. And so, don't wield one great hammer, wield two. Don't wield one great axe, wield two. And that goes almost to colossal swords. And in PvE, that works quite well. In PvP, you want slightly smaller weapons. But, like, dual-wielding halberds is pretty mean. Dual-wielding lances is fairly mean. Straight swords have incredible DPS damage output in a burst. Lots of hits. Because it seems that the big weapons aren't big enough for how much damage the small weapons do in comparison, and you're better off just swinging faster in a lot of situations. So we'll sit down, get our health and supplies back, and now we'll really start the Academy Raid Lucaria. We'll see how far we get in the next 15 or so minutes. Nice stained glass. Clover shapes like we saw at the Church of Vows briefly, though I believe those were filled in with bricks. The Academy is rather tidy for an area. So far. Of course, when we went out on the bridges... I like the chains rattling. I don't know if you could hear that, but... we have a bunch of cages. Makes you wonder what they would hold in them. Given that one of the symbols of... in the Liurnia of the lakes that keeps cropping up is the cuckoo bird. I wonder if that's what the birds are for. Here we have these little gargoyles. I don't think I've ever looked at these guys closely. These sad looking gargoyles. And their cages. There's a lot of cages here. And just a box of glintstones. Wait, is there a bird in this cage? I never noticed. Not a once. Alright, let's... Shucks. I don't need bleed on the bar right now. We'll glowstone it up. There's birds in a lot of these cages. Over here. Hopefully it's not too harsh a lighting. But yeah, there's little birds in these cages. I never noticed. Is this a cuckoo? I don't actually know what a cuckoo looks like. I just know of the symbolism. I should have looked that up beforehand. But yeah, there's little birds in these cages. Oh. That one didn't make it. It looks like somebody tried to break it open, though. The bird didn't live through the experience. I shouldn't be laughing. That's sad. I like birds. Still. What the heck were they using these birds for? I understand if it's your symbol, but what are they for? Are they messenger birds? Is this Hogwarts? Honestly, it's grand enough. I love this site. This reminds me a little bit of Irithyll. The central cathedral in Irithyll, I believe, had rounded, stained windows like that. Well, I guess those aren't stained, but glass windows. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, the image sharpens when we get within range right about here on the round window there. But this place seems really high up. Like, it would be a chore to cart materials up here to build anything, especially anything this nice. And so it seems that the theory that Liurnia is sinking into the lake seems more readily apparent. That this might have been maybe a higher point in the landscape, but it wasn't completely covered in water. Now it's Liurnia of the lakes, right? But it seems to be mostly a lake. I mean, there's a little pond over here. So it makes me wonder if perhaps at one point in time it was many lakes. Stands to reason. Okay, there we go. Take care of them. But the sorcerers are hostile to us on sight. They have this pallid gray skin. Sickly looking, honestly. And they look kind of dirty, honestly. Filthy wizards not showering. What a bunch of nerds. Alright, we'll get in here. And in fact, I think it's appropriate that Seekhelm, having ventured through the Liurnia Lakes and he finds himself in a relatively clean place, that he decides to switch his getup for a bit. Why not? And he decides to put on the astrologer robe because it seems more fitting. For the academy, at least. And sure enough, it lets him kind of hide the bandages just a smidge. But he's kind of disappointed that he shows up and they're hostile on sight. This isn't what he wanted. He wanted to gain access to the Academy Rea Lucaria. He wanted to learn. But it seems that they do not view him in the same way that they don't. Those of the Academy do not view Sieghelm in the same way that he holds respect for them. Because this place was certainly legendary. Probably legendary enough that even those outside of the Lands Between, if they had learned much of anything, would have some sort of respect. Sorry. I lost my train of thought because fighting. There we go. Oh, that was a clean kill. That those outside the Academy, outside the Lands Between, may know of the Academy because it'd be such an epicenter for learning the mystical arts. We know about the Two Fingers, and we know about Queen Marika, Lord Godfrey, and a handful of the other deities of the Lands Between. Even outside the Lands Between, they seem to be hailed and understood. So here we have a little man with a chapeau. I think that's what that's called. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but he's got a little orb in him on his hand there. And the orb actually looks like it's far nicer, like a actual little marble compared to the rest of the wooden outfit. I don't know who this fellow is. It kind of looks like an hourglass in terms of shape, right? I think we see one other object like this much later in the game, so I'll try to remember. It's just a weird little detail. Bunch of pews. More bird cages. So many bird cages, my goodness. More of the gargoyles, though these ones look to be made out of different material altogether. Here's a wall here that is illusory. In case you were curious, you don't find out about this till way later. And here we have more of this lady. The icon of Rea Lucaria. I don't know who she is exactly. But it seems interesting that they have her in the statues and they have another woman in these graves. It seems interesting that they have a little grave site here near the entrance, just a little ways into Rea Lucaria. Honestly, this looks like a church of some kind. Though if they favor intelligence, what would it be for? Like, this is really ornate. It's nice. But it feels like a church in here. Seems kind of odd choice for a secular group. And to be fair, they're probably not 100% secular. Queen Marika is a real individual, and she is very powerful, like a deity. And she has children who are also very powerful. And at one point in time... Hey, there's a ladder there. Renala was married to Radigan, and Radigan would eventually become the second husband of Queen Marika. And so they have ties to the divine. They don't seem to be worshipping them, but their architecture just seems very churchy to me. Here we have some fellows. It looks like this fellow is what the glintstone crown was based off of. He's even holding the glintstone staff, and he even looks like he's holding honestly, a short sword or a dagger in the Carian style. That fellow there, though, this one who's upside down, he kind of looks like the Lazuli sorcerers. There. And then he's like, this guy here is like the generic sorcerers we've seen so far. He's even got the leather band over his forehead. And I don't think we've seen guys that have this fellow's face yet, but we'll keep our eyes open. Because there should be more than one style of crown amongst the sorcerers here. I think we've seen one in the academy proper, and I believe the ones outside also look like this guy here. I'm just trying to remember what the ones in the basement look like. I need to get farther. We're 24 minutes in this episode. I'm just dawdling. To be fair, there's a lot to look at. This place is very rich in architecture and design. This place feels lived in. God, imagine having your work desk should be at the end of the hall. There's the stop. You don't get a full room. Still birds everywhere. And to be fair, this place is pretty big and separated by lots of tiered architecture, right? So it makes me wonder, did they actually use birds for communication within the academy? Is that why there's so many birds everywhere? Seems like a chore. I don't know much about training birds to fly to places. But if I recall correctly, it seems like that most birds are taught to return to a point, and not necessarily to fly between 2 points. I could be wrong. I could be woefully wrong. But let's get on with it and see how far we can get with the limited amount of time we have left. Here we have mana zombies. They will try to grab you, and it's rather rude. And they will eat your mana and deal damage to you. Did I already hop down over here? I don't believe so. Yeah, tasty item. We have a commoner out here. I don't see many of their like, unless you count the mana zombies as having a similar structure to them. You have lots of corpses. We have a rickety bridge. It seems that the sorcerers like to bury people in a more traditional style, and the magic in the area has reanimated the corpses. Kind of grim. Grace Mimic, not that useful. Just grabbing where I remember items to be. Well, if we head along this outer cliff over here, beside the bridge, we can go under it. There we go. And you gotta watch out for little crags. Don't want to fall to your death. That would be dismal. And here we are on the other side, effectively avoiding the ambush. Wow, that's a nice move. I do like having a horizontal slash with the pickaxe. Silver pickled foulfoot. That's some big damage. I do like that. And this fellow. And that ice proc's coming through. I don't know how many points of ice proc the mist adds, but the base is 95, which isn't bad. Well, it's okay. There's more enemies over there, but we will deal with them in time. But down here, there always used to be a lag spike coming over here. It seems that that's gone now. And here we find the carrion set. On a tall tombstone, kind of praised by some local bodies. But this is the Academy of Lorethrough. Why would there be carrion armor here? Seemingly on the exterior. But we'll take a look at that. Because why not? Helm of the Enchanted Knights that once served the Carrion royal family. The Enchanted Knights, anointed by the Lunar Queen, are all heroes of the highest honors, but fell into disarray with the decline of the royal family. And it seems they all more or less say that. And the other thing that we found that belongs to them is the Carrion Knight Sword. A weapon of the knights sworn to Carrion royalty. These knight swords could serve as catalysts, letting them wield sorcerous battle skills. Despite numbering fewer than 20, this power made them a match even for the champions of gold in battle. And then the Troll's Knight Sword is wielded by the Carrion Knights who are trolls. Weapon of the trolls in service to the royal family of Caria. Called into service when the queen invoked an oath they swore. The trolls are treated as true knights of Caria and fight arm in arm with their human comrades. That's adorable. I feel that Sieghelm would have great appreciation for this armor, and he'd want to take it with him, but it seems just a little too nice for him. Especially with the bandaged head, it looks a little silly. I think we will find armor for him soon. But right now, he's still in his delusion that maybe he can gain access to some part of the academy and be accepted. Maybe there is a cadre of sane sorcerers deep within. He only needs to meet them and learn of their arts. Because right now, he's just forced to kill sorcerers, marionettes who have attacked him on sight, magical zombies, and dogs. What a shame. Seems to be having a miserable time of it all. I missed that horribly. Oh, having a slash is so nice, even if it costs extra. Where's that other dog? There's a train of lily here. And I hear a beetle. There we go. First it may have only been one weapon. And the Spectral Lance, one of the earliest occult Ashes of War you can get. Which is kind of sad that it's so late. Arcane builds are really in trouble when going through the game, at least in the order that I've approached it. Arcane builds are kind of rough. Arcane feels like a build that you switch to mid-game after playing as something else. If you're wise, you've probably been just playing a strength or a dex build, and you will get Arcane when you have the items for it. There we go. But I digress. I'm just thinking of arcane weapons, and there's the Reduvia early on. You get Bloody Slash. That's one incantation. If you're like us and you go to to Mogwin's Palace early, you could get your hands on Blood Tax. Yeah, so that's another one. You can get that one fairly early. You have to be able to get in there and kill the beetle, though, and that's kind of tough. Just because of the high damage output of all the enemies around you. Okay. We will get to the next grace. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get to the next grace, and then we'll cut. We have a lot to explore, though. Goodness. Alright. Here we have an Alabaster Lord. But despite their height, they're not too tough to stumble. Oh. So bad at speaking. And here we get Gravity Well. We'll take a look at that. One of the glintstone sorceries that manipulates gravitational forces fires a projectile of condensed gravitational force. Those struck by it will be pulled toward the caster. Charging enhances potency. So it's one of the gravity sorceries. There's not a whole lot of these. Yeah. Gravitational technique studied by the young Radon. His master was an Alabaster Lord with skin of stone. Hopefully it was not this lad here. But we don't know. All Alabaster Lords look the same to us. We are an incredibly vile, racist individual. I'm only joking. That's just game design. It's not racist if it's game design. Shut up. That was a horrible sentence. Alright, we're gonna get up here. And I think if we go a little smidge higher, there's a bonus item, actually. So, hello, there's a commoner here. Actually, that's a noble. My bad. That's a noble. Goodbye. Oh, ew. Oh, no. Oh, that's gonna stink. That's not good. Level 4 golden rune. Here we have little candles set up to more cages for cuckoo birds. Crazy. So if you need to farm the Noble Slender Sword, which is a pretty good dex sword, it's pretty good on a lot of builds, I'll be honest. A lot of elemental builds. Honestly, unless you're doing strength, it's probably your best bet for most straight swords that you want to infuse. This is not a bad place to do it, mostly because there's like 2 or 3 dudes just out here that might drop it. And just in sight, here's a grace, so farming those 3 dudes repeatedly is fairly efficient. It has low drop chance. It's kind of miserable to do anyways, but at least they're not far away. Okay. Here we are. So we will take a rest, and we will cut the episode there. Ooh, there's a Lazuli wizard walking by. That's exciting. Episode 51. You'll want to return for that. Thank you for being with me today. We have more to explore, and we'll do that next time. Bye-bye.